So we're doing the chapter summaries from the Bhagavad Gita. Before we start, we'll chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Ты что, с катушек слетел? Что за мат? Что за мат перемат, а?
Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamanyam dadati swapadantikam. Vancha kalpa turvascha kripasandhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhya Vaishnavebhya namo namaha. Nama om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Maha Jai Shri Bhagavad Gita Yatharupa Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. So these are the three books that I'll be referencing as we speak about the Bhagavad Gita. So yesterday we gave an overview, and chapter 1 starts with describing the scene, the battlefield, and what is happening. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is laid out very scientifically. Each chapter is organizing everything in such a way that we can totally understand what is the purpose of our life, each and every individual life. Bhagavad Gita is spoken in a language called Parokshavad. And it's a Sanskrit language called Parokshavad. And in Parokshavad, what happens is that when the speaker speaks in Parokshavad, every person who is listening, who is dealing with the situation, will understand in two ways. One, they will understand generically what is being spoken that is true for everybody, and specifically what is being spoken which is true for each person individually and specifically, exclusively for that person. So Bhagavad Gita is spoken in Parokshavad like that. So the scene starts with the armies aligned on both sides of the battlefield. There are 64 million soldiers lined up on both sides of the battlefield. The situation has arisen because the question became, who should be the emperor of the world? Who should be the reigning king over all the other king and kingdoms that there will be? And so what had happened was, within the family, there was a disagreement. Within the Kaurava family, there was a disagreement, and the Pandavas and the Kauravas, they became separated. The rest of the Kauravas and the Pandavas became separated because the arrangement was that King Yudhishthira was meant to be the emperor. But the emperor at the time, who was holding the place, Dhritarashtra, had a son whose name was Duryodhan, and Duryodhan had become accustomed to being the prince, the grand prince of the world, and actually he didn't want to give up his position. He wanted to become the next emperor, next king, like that, the next head of the world, like that, as a ruler of the world, like that. So there was some negotiations between the family members. The negotiations broke down, and finally it came to this solution that there had to be a war, because this is how Kshatriyas actually resolve issues. Brahmins resolve issues by using spiritual texts and speaking from the point of view of intelligence. Kshatriyas resolve issues by administration, by war and activities like that. Vaishyas resolve issues by producing things, farming and trading like that. And Shudras produce results by doing things with their hands and feet that create results like that. So here, the problem that everybody was facing was a very big problem, because many millions of people were going to die on the battlefield. And not only that, all the families would be affected, because these were the husbands in the families who were fighting. And the Vedic system is laid out in such a way that the husband is the provider of the family. He is the person who makes sure that the family is secure, the family is happy, the children are brought up nicely under the guidance of the mother, and things like that. So whole society runs on the basis of the family unit operating properly, being trained up when they were brahmacharis how to operate the family unit nicely, and then later on in the third phase of their life, moving on to retiring from family life and serving society, because in the first two phases, as children who are learning, students, the student life, and then later on the married life, they were taking from society. Now the idea is to give back to society in the third phase of life, and the fourth phase of life, prepare oneself for the next life. And that we will see in Bhagavad Gita, how this plays out through the 18 chapters. So in this chapter, basically what is happening is that in our journey in life, there is a purpose. And when we are not clear about the purpose, then there will be doubts, and then also there will be results that are like ominous results. Things that will happen is that are ominous. Like, for example, the current coronavirus is considered ominous, meaning that it wreaks a lot of havoc, makes a lot of people unhappy, depressed, anxious, angry, frustrated, like that. And then there's uncertainty created like that. So people become unclear about life, and they become bewildered. They don't know what to do in their lives. And so then there has to come a turning point. And amazingly, we're sitting at a very good time right now, because according to astrological predictions, we're in a turning point that happened 500 years ago again. It happened, last time it happened was 500 years ago, when these certain planets conjuncted one another in a particular way. And in that turning point, at that time, 500 years ago, Renaissance happened, and the world moved on to a much better phase of its existence from the phase that was before Renaissance. And so in a similar way, there is a shift happening right now, a very important shift. And amazingly, chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita discusses that in different verses. So we start first with the first 12 verses, where Dhritarashtra is asking what's happening on the battlefield, because he so much loves his son, and both of them are very much into living their lives about I, me, and mine. It's about me, it's about my people, and there's a lot of greed involved, there's a lot of envy, very heavy material desires, and we can see that in our lives this happens as well. Each and every one of us, in either a very gross way or in some subtle way, this happens in our lives. And so in verses 13 to 20, it becomes very clear that the results are going to be very ominous, because this war is going to create a lot of unhappiness in a lot of people's lives. Husbands will die, families become, children will become fatherless like that, and sometimes even motherless, because the mother, at that time, the way it worked was, if the father passed away, the mother might also leave her body, because they're so attached to one another. So the children will become orphaned like that. Whole of society will start crumbling like that. So one could see that there were going to be some ominous results by the blowing of the conch shell. The sound that it made was so tumultuous that people realized that something very bad was going to happen. That for those who were sinful, for those who are not dharmic, dharmic means who are not following the purpose in their life, who are not living their life in the mode of goodness, they would actually will have real difficulties in their lives. And so it seemed like the odds were stacked against them. And then obviously this brings about a lot of uncertainty. Now that people are thinking like that, brings about a lot of uncertainty. Even for Arjuna, although he was defending virtue, defending dharma, he was uncertain about fighting his relatives, because his opponents were relatives. And so he wanted to have one final look at the armies. And so he asked Krishna, who is acting as the charioteer, to drive to the middle of the battlefield so that Arjuna can see and satisfy his curiosity. And amazingly, at that time, although it was a very difficult situation, in this very intense situation, Arjuna still took time to reflect, to think about things nicely. And just like in our lives may be crammed with many responsibilities and pressing issues, but attendance to such demands should not be at the expense of introspection, especially spiritual introspection, because as we'll see in the Bhagavad Gita later on, Krishna explaining this, that we are spirit souls. Essentially, each of us is a spirit soul. When that spirit soul departs the body, then the body becomes lifeless. There is no value to that body. It will either be burned or buried or something like that. So who we really are is the soul, and that type of introspection should be there. And right now, fortunately, again, in this world, because of all the difficulties that are happening, especially in the United States of America, because now America is now the #1 harbinger of this virus. The most number of people in the world who have virus live now in the United States of America. And yesterday I was seeing a statistic that every 5 seconds somebody's catching the virus, and that number is going faster. So it'll be every 4 seconds, every 3 seconds, like that. And so the unfortunate part in this world is, even though we do introspection like that, the difficulty is that the chronic disease of modern man is the excuse of no time when it comes to soul searching. They don't have time for themselves. They have time for their mind becoming happy. We call it mind candy. The mind is looking for candy. What can I enjoy next? What can I enjoy next? It's called mind candy. And there's so much absorption in this mind candy. Even the intelligence is applied towards the mind candy. The whole false ego supports that program. So there is no real time for soul searching. And this we can see in verses 21 through 27, how in the Bhagavad Gita this is being explained. And then in the next set of verses from 28 to 30, now that Arjuna is seeing what he is saying, he becomes bewildered. He thinks to himself, this doesn't seem to make sense. Why are we fighting like this, And so in our relationship with God, the critical purpose behind this world is actually our relationship there, but actually one becomes disturbed and frustrated by the challenges of life, and so that focus is not there. And then comes the turning point, like I was talking about, between verses 31 to 42 of chapter 1, where Arjuna decides that he really doesn't want to fight. He justifies the decision in many ways. He says that it would be cruel and heartless to prematurely terminate the lives of so many soldiers. So many soldiers will die. Their families will suffer. Why? Why should we fight? Even if one has an unrivaled kingdom after that, that we will become the unrivaled leaders of the world, rulers of the world, how can we be happy knowing that, so many of our near and dear ones have died, and we killed them, they killed so many of our people like that? How can we be happy? On the blood of others, how can we become happy? And then the third is, surely there's going to be bad karma as a result of such brutal violence. And then another reason was the wholesale killing will destroy the family unit and the social structure, causing havoc for future generations. They will become disturbed as well. So like this, thinking like that, reflecting like that, he becomes overwhelmed by grief. So then Arjuna sets his weapons aside and decides not to fight. He feels like, I don't think I'd like to fight. I think I'd rather go to the forest and meditate. And many times we do this in our lives. In our lives, everyone's life is made of two things: opportunities and challenges. Opportunities are actually, this is a very important secret to know in life that can make us very happy and successful. And that is that opportunities are actually challenges in disguise. And challenges are opportunities in disguise. So which would you rather have, the opportunity or the challenge? And if you really want the opportunity, then you confront the challenges. You deal with the challenges. As you deal with the challenges, opportunities will arise. In this world today, the world goes through different phases. In this phase of the world is controlled by business people. The vicious are controlling the world right now. And so if you ask businessmen, how do you become very successful? They will tell you that the secret of success in business is to resolve challenges. People have problems, and you solve their problems, and you make any amount of money you want to make as a result of solving their problems. Because people don't want problems. They want happiness and success in their lives. They don't want any challenges. So if anybody can help me overcome my challenge, I'll be ready to give some money. And amazingly, another very good important secret to know is that even if you think that whatever the business is offering will help me solve my problem, immediately people start putting some money down just by the thinking process. Although things happen in a certain way, as we see in Bhagavad Gita later. Things happen by thinking, and then it comes to feeling, then it comes to willing, and then finally it comes to doing. But even at the thinking phase, people will start throwing money at people because they think. It's just like yesterday I was reading that we have these things like Purell and other sanitizers. Do they actually kill COVID-19? And the answer is no, unless they have 90%, 70%, minimum 70% alcohol in them. They will not kill that virus. But people are buying these a lot of these products that don't even have 70% alcohol strength in them. But they think that it'll solve their problem. They hear other people are doing it. They think, yeah, help me too. And then they go and empty the shelves out, even though the product they bought was not of much value. This is how things happen in life. So actually, for us, what are our challenges? And this the Bhagavad Gita will speak about over a period of time. So now we come to chapter 2. Chapter 2 is a very important Bhagavad Gita chapter for this purpose. Every chapter is most important. The Bhagavad Gita is laid out in 18 chapters. The middle 6 chapters deal with the real essence of life, that is called bhakti, to be devoted to God, and we'll see why that devotion is necessary. And then the first 6 chapters deal with how do we do things in our lives? What are the actions we should take in our life? So it is like karma yoga. And then the last 6 chapters is jnana yoga, because jnana yoga then makes you understand it deeply from an intellectual point of view, so that your consciousness is going to be fully absorbed in doing bhakti, doing the devotion that is in the middle, the 6 middle chapters. So the first 6 chapters and the last 6 chapters are like the bookends of the middle 6 chapters, or like I call them the bodyguards. They're the 2 bodyguards that keep the king in the middle secure and doing things in a way that works out perfectly. So chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita is the summary of the Bhagavad Gita. It summarizes the whole Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, the way he spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna in the second chapter, or what is now called the second chapter. Of course, he didn't speak in chapter terms, but he spoke the verses. But after the 42nd verse, the 42nd statement that Krishna makes, the 43rd statement starts the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita in summary form. So this is obviously a very important part of the Bhagavad Gita. And so in the first 10 verses, the establishment is there, the requirement is there, that if you really want to become successful in your life, you need to have a mentor. You need to have a person who succeeded in life and then can help you succeed in life. Now that success may not be in your line of success, but that success is a spiritual success in the sense it is eternal success. It is not temporary success. Just like, say, for example, let's imagine that you're making money, and there are two ways to make money. One way to make money is to play the Monopoly game on the Monopoly board, and you can make a lot of money on Monopoly, or you can make money in real life. Well, the Monopoly money will give you some temporary success. The other money will give you more permanent success. Okay, this is just an example. So in the same way, material life is like Monopoly money. While you're playing the game, it's very interesting who's winning and you're feeling very good. But the real money is sitting outside the Monopoly board in the form of the dollars and cents or the rupees or the whatever currency that is operating in that country. In the United States, I'll call it dollars and cents, the green buck. So basically that's the real money. And so in the same way, in spiritual life, the spiritual life is the permanent part. The temporary part is the material. The material is supposed to serve the spiritual. The purpose of playing the Monopoly game is so that you can be happy all the time in your life. And there, the real money will become very important to you. If you ignore the real money and just spend time playing Monopoly all the time, then you're going to mess your life up, because you'll find that you will not be able to have proper food to eat, proper shelter, all the wonderful things that your mind will want as mind candy is not going to actually happen, because of the fact that you spent your time all day long playing Monopoly like that. So the first thing that Krishna says to Arjuna is that because you're torn and confused, Arjuna realizes that. Arjuna himself says, I'm in dire need of guidance, Krishna. I really need guidance. And please enlighten me so I can mitigate my miserable condition. So from this example, we can learn that the first fundamental step in spirituality is that one must approach a person who is successful in spirituality. Such a person is called a guru. And that person comes from an authentic lineage of teachers. This will be seen in the later chapters. Comes from an authentic lineage of teachers who have mastered the spiritual art in such a way they're not interested in promoting spirituality for material life. They want, as a spiritual master, imagine I'm the spiritual master and you are a disciple. My purpose would be that you become very successful in your material and spiritual life. But for me, I will not be interested in anything in material life, because I have come to the point of realization that material life is not what will cut it for me to become really happy. So because I've realized that, I will promote my spiritual life in such a way that the material life will get organized automatically, pretty much automatically. Just like all the birds and the animals, they're getting their food automatically. They don't have to sign up to work for Microsoft or Google and get paid working 8 hours a day, or running a business like Amazon to actually put food in their mouths. You can see that. There are 8,400,000 species of life. The human species is one of the highest species of life. And so we've come to the top of the class. So surely we should be doing something better than those other life forms that we transgressed and came over to this human form of life. We should be doing something better. And even the animals can take care of their food, their shelter, their clothing, their more natural dresses, their clothing, and living life in such a way that they can be happy. They take care of these things very naturally. They're doing that also. So what is the difference between them and the human life? And again, Bhagavad Gita will talk about that. What is the difference and why you should then practice spiritual life? Because that is our consciousness. Human consciousness is such that you can understand what is spiritual life and come to that point. So this is the example that Arjuna lays down, that let's learn from somebody who comes from an authentic lineage of teachers who have mastered the spiritual art, and that most in life require guidance and instruction under a qualified teacher, and spiritual discipline is no different. Just like in our lives, some of us are IT specialists, some of us are doctors, some of us are dentists, some of us are lawyers. So we studied under people who were expert in those things, and then we became expert at it ourselves. And we may argue that everything they require for their spirituality is contained within, because that a lot of people will say that. And while this may be true, we may still require help to reawaken that consciousness, right? Yeah, okay, God is in you, but you have to reawaken your consciousness to see God inside you. You can't just say God is inside me and then keep doing things that has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with the reality of life in a way that will make us truly happy, truly knowledgeable and happy. To live a complete life of knowledge and happiness is called Sat Chit Ananda. And the soul is made of Sat Chit and Ananda. So those are three things that are going to be very necessary for us, because that's us. We are as a human being. We will require those things. And so as the going goes, as the saying goes, they say that one who accepts himself as a guru accepts a fool for a disciple, like that. So we don't want that situation happening. And Arjuna didn't want that either. Arjuna was, by the way, a very smart person, amazingly intelligent. He was so intelligent that if we put all of the intelligence of everybody on this planet together, it would still not equal the intelligence of Arjuna. That's how smart he was. And he was such a great devotee that even when he slept, every part of his body would be chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is described in one of the Leelas, even when he's sleeping. And people come and see him in his sleep and they think he's sleeping, but every part of his body is chanting. And they would all be there and they'll think, wow, this is so nice. And they'll become, and so when Krishna heard about, you've got to come and see what's happening here. Krishna came and saw Arjuna lying on the bed and sleeping in deep sleep, but every part of his body is chanting Hare Krishna. Even Krishna became amazed by that. He started crying. He's thinking this boy loves me so much that every part of his body is chanting even while he's sleeping. Like that. Prabhupada actually showed the same example. There's a wonderful story. I need to tell you this because the essence of the Bhagavad Gita comes out so nicely. So there was this one person. He was sitting, listening to Prabhupada speaking. It was a Pandal program. In India, thousands of people are sitting in the Maidan, in the audience and on the grounds, and then the speaker is speaking through the microphone like that. So Prabhupada was speaking. Some of his disciples were on the stage. And there were literally thousands of people. I think it was between 10 and 15,000 people out there listening. And so Prabhupada was saying something. So one of the men became a little disturbed, was in the audience. Why Prabhupada is speaking like this? So he came up on the stage. And so Prabhupada asked him, so what's the problem? He says, why are you talking about these things? This is not spirituality. Spirituality, you should talk about this, not those. Some material things Prabhupada was describing, about how you should take care of your money and things like that, and that every penny should be accounted for, things like that. And so he was thinking, why are you talking about those types of things? That's not spiritual life. So Prabhupada said, okay, I'll speak to you later. Let me continue, and I'll speak to you later. But you sit behind me, and I want you to put your ears to my body. So put your ear against my body like that and listen nicely what I'm saying. So the man thought, okay, let's see what happens. And so he did that, and the man put his ears to Prabhupada's body and he started listening. And he was completely amazed. So he stood up. After a while he stood up and he came and paid full obeisances to Prabhupada. He saw the devotees did things like that. So he did it too. So everybody thought, what are you doing? Why is he putting all obeisances like that? So Prabhupada said, what happened? So he said to Prabhupada, and the disciples were there, and everybody then found out that he had said that, was that when I was put my ear to your body, all I could hear was Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So he said, I'm amazed, you're speaking out there, and all I'm hearing is the mantra inside your body. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is what it means to become a devotee. That you are always communicating with Krishna, and Krishna is always communicating with you. That is what it means to be a devotee. So we can see how things happen in this way. And so why do they happen? It's because Prabhupada followed the Bhagavad Gita. He listened to the Bhagavad Gita, became extremely successful. Actually, the top businessmen in India, because a lot of businessmen around the world did not meet Prabhupada. Some of the top businessmen around the world did not meet Prabhupada. But in India, all the top businessmen met Prabhupada, like the Birlas and the Tatas and all those people at that time were very, very rich, so rich that in some ways they're even wealthier than Jeff Bezos now, except that people don't know about it because some of the gems and things that they have in their possession are so expensive that if anybody came to know about it, people will kill people just to get those gems like that. So anyway, So this businessman said that if you put all the top businessmen of the world together, the top 12 businessmen, if you have a meeting between Prabhupada and the 12 top businessmen of the world, put them in a board meeting, and those 12 businessmen put together with all their intelligence could not equal the intelligence of Prabhupada. He'd be a smarter businessman than all those 12 businessmen put together. That's how powerful Prabhupada was. So we can see that why that is happening is explained like this in the Bhagavad Gita. And then the next verses, which are verses 31 to 53, the Krishna describes that there are actually two types of dharmas. That in knowledge, in life, what is the real world? So Krishna addresses this by saying that there are two essential duties of the spirit soul. Dharma loosely translates as duty in a deeper sense, referring to the intrinsic quality, intrinsic characteristics of something that cannot be avoided, neglected, or negated under any circumstance. Say, for example, the dharma of sugar is to be sweet. If the sweetness is not there in the sugar, it is not sugar, like that. So similarly, excuse me, the soul has a swadharma. And what is this swadharma? What is its natural dharma? So it has a worldly duty towards family, friends, and society. And secondly, the soul has what is called sanatan dharma, or eternal spiritual duty, which comprises one's relationship with God, with nature, and all spirit souls. So this is the two parts, and that one must execute both of these dharmas side by side. So many individuals neglect their sanatan dharma and become preoccupied only with their swadharma, which is the dharma for looking after family, friends, society, like that. So on the extreme, the individuals can prematurely reject their swadharma and falsely try to absorb themselves in sanatan dharma. That should not happen either, which is what this gentleman was a little like until he met Prabhupada. And in fact, there's a wonderful statement Prabhupada makes about it later on. I think it's in the 12th chapter where it says, it is okay for a man to think that he is God, comma, until he meets a devotee of God. So it's because the devotee gives proper explanation how to make both of these things happen simultaneously. And so the most progressive path is to be fully alert to both the duties, and in doing so, live a very happy, integrated material and spiritual life like that. And then after that, the next verses deal with the essence of life, because Arjuna asks Krishna, how does a person speak? How does a person sit? How does a person walk? Who has come to this understanding of swadharma and sanatan dharma? Sthita pragya is the word that's used like that. So what is the result of someone who performs such duties with determination and enthusiasm? So before I go there, let me just run back a little bit again about the situation. So Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that, look, you are thinking about your swadharma, but what about the occupational, what about the sanatan dharma part of it? Each of these personalities, you are saying, this is my grandfather, this is my guru, and so how can I fight? Yeah, that is true. You should not be fighting your guru and your grandfather like that. But what about your sanatan dharma? Your sanatan dharma is to love God and to see all living entities as children of God. And so that is the spirit soul. The spirit soul is not related to you as grandfather. The spiritual is related to you as a associated soul who also has a wonderful relationship with God. So what about the dharma part of this, that part of it? You have to reestablish that dharma too. You're only talking about swadharma, but you're not talking about your sanatan dharma. We have to reestablish the sanatan dharma as well. That is why, what you're saying about society, family, and everything, while it is true for swadharma, it's not translating for sanatan dharma. It's not relating for your eternal life. It is relating for your temporary life, but not your eternal life. You want to take care of both. Yes, you want to play Monopoly, that's fine, but please also take care of your life in such a way that you have a fantastic life and not all your life is spent playing Monopoly, because then that'll be a waste of time. Can you understand the point? This is a very important point that Krishna is making. So then Arjuna is asking, so how does a person behave when they're doing these things? So then Lord Krishna describes that one who is spiritually realized soul will find pleasure in the self. Now, this is very important. Why? Because the soul is made of pleasure. The soul is Sat-Chit Ananda. Ananda is the pleasure. It's the ultimate nature of the soul to be happy. So one can actually find pleasure in the soul because the soul is the one that is actually experiencing that happiness. What is that happiness? Again, we'll talk about later. But that happiness is complete. It's not also partial, which is why, again, in this world, we become frustrated. We become confused because our understanding of life is incomplete. It's partial. And just like in English, there's saying partial knowledge is dangerous. So we have to be careful. So transcending the dualities of this world, a spiritualist rids himself of the qualities such as fear, attachment, and anger, and remains absorbed in spiritual delight and transcendental consciousness. So in this spiritual delight and transcendental consciousness, both the Swadharma and the Sanatana Dharma are taken care of very nicely. And again, this is not so easy for everybody to understand until you practice it. Because only when you practice it and you realize, wow, it does work. Both of these do work together. It is okay for me to be a great businessman or a great doctor or a great scientist or whatever it is that our nature asks us to do, which is what chapter 3 is going to come into, by the way. Chapter 3 in some ways is one of the most important chapters of the Bhagavad Gita because it is what I call the as it is chapter of the as it is Bhagavad Gita. You may know that Prabhupada described Bhagavad Gita as it is, with Harut. Why as it is? He wanted to explain Bhagavad Gita as Krishna spoke it, not change the meaning because he was so smart that he can give a new meaning to it and then spoil the meaning. This is why parampara is very important, and we'll see that in future chapters, that things must come in parampara, meaning a line of teachers starting from Krishna. Krishna spoke this science first to Arjuna. First spoke this science to the sun god, who spoke it to his son, who spoke it to Narada, like that. So it was passed down with no changes, exactly as it was spoken by the first person. In school, sometimes we play this game, we put 10 people next to one another, and the first person tells the second person in the ear, that person tells the third person something in the ear. By the time the 10th person hears it, the story is completely different. Why? Because each of them subtract and add things. And that's not permissible in spiritual life. If you change things, it's no longer spiritual. Spiritual is eternal, means it cannot be changed. And it's perfect. So don't make it imperfect by changing it like that. So keep it perfect like that. So these are the two chapters in summary form that I'm describing. I'm going to bring all of these together at some point so that you can understand it. But here are some of the points that are made in chapters 1 and 2 in essence, so that we can understand it in a simple way. Because if we don't understand it in a simple way, if we complicate it, then the difficulty is that we'll get lost in the complications and we'll forget what was the purpose of what Krishna was saying and how it impacts each and every one of our lives and how we can help others in their lives in such a way that everybody can be truly happy, or the word that's used in Srimad Bhagavatam is suprasidhiti. We can be completely satisfied. Complete satisfaction means in every way, whether it is financial, whether it is, from point of view of health, from point of view of social life, from the point of view of, our occupation, whatever it is, our interests, our hobbies, name whatever you want to name. In all of these ways, how to make sure that all of these are working in a way that we're completely satisfied. Not that some things are working in our life and some things are not working in our life. Not like that. So this is why chapter 2 is very important, because it brings it together, as we just saw. And then from chapter 3, we'll start seeing the tree of life, consciousness itself, our nature. And Krishna wants us to find us from where we are, he says, and which means that from our nature. Each and every one of us has a unique nature. And so how do we do that from our unique nature standpoint is the subject matter of chapter 3, and chapter 4 becomes who is the spiritual master who can actually show us how to do that perfectly according to our nature like that. And how these spiritual masters come in different ways. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to stop here and ask if any of you would like to say something or ask any question. I hope the audio went well today, better than it did yesterday. Hare Krishna.
I would like to request you all to raise hands in chat or text so that I can unmute you so that you can ask the questions. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhu. One point I could have made, which I didn't make as clearly, is because the soul is eternal, that soul cannot be killed. This is something that Krishna also explains to Arjuna in the second chapter, that the soul is amazing. Amazing means that it can do amazing things. Even the miracles in this world are nothing compared to what the soul can do. You know, to walk on water or to put your hand like that and gold will come into your hand. Any miracle that you can do in this world is nothing compared to what the soul can do. And that soul is so amazing. That soul cannot be killed, it cannot be cut, it cannot be burnt. Krishna is explaining this to Arjuna. Please understand, your soul is totally amazing. So come to self-realization. Come to know who you really are. And then your life is going to become fantastic. You're going to live a life that's going to be truly useful, valuable, and happy. And then you will help others also because, you know, it's a little rubs off on others, you know. Association rubs off on others, you know. Like in this world, they say a man is known by his association, or a woman is known by her association. What is the association? So this is very good. Thank you, Sarvya Madhav, for reminding me that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Deshwari Priya. Thank you for the wonderful class. I just want to know about the Parokshvad language you told before.
So Parokshavad is a style of speaking. It's just like in English, there are many ways you can speak in English. You know, you can speak phonetically in English, which means, you know, you spell the word based on how it sounds, right? Like that. So it's all phonetic speaking, you know what I'm saying? And then you can speak in terms of, say, poetry. So it's a poetic way of speaking, right? So you rhyme everything. Everything is a nice stanza. It comes out very nicely. You can speak in this world in form of singing, like songs. Speak by the song. Bhagavad Gita is a song, right? The song of God. So Krishna is speaking as song of God. So these are different ways you can speak in English, right? And there are many other ways, by the way. Many other. You can joke. You can be very sarcastic in your speak. So, you know, the sarcasm, you know, like that. So different things in English like that. So similarly, in Sanskrit, you can also speak in ways that create different types of results. So there's a saying in Hindi, you know, ek tir hazar nazare, meaning that you fire one arrow, but you hit 1,000 targets, thousands of targets like that. So it's called ek tir hazar. Ek tir means one arrow. Hazar means thousands, you know, like that. Hazar and nazare, so like that. So basically, Krishna uses that style of speaking in Bhagavad Gita, that each of us, as we read the Bhagavad Gita, as we hear the Bhagavad Gita, like say, for example, you heard me today, right? Would you say that when you heard me today, some of the things you heard were never something that you heard before? Yes. Because it was my realization of Bhagavad Gita, reading how I read Bhagavad Gita. You see what I'm saying? So when each of us speaks, this is why everybody must speak. Because as you speak, your realization comes out and people get to see an angle that they may not have seen before, and it becomes more complete, you see, for all of us. So this is why everybody should speak. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Shravanam means first hear, and then now please speak to others, so that, you know, that others will come to know. So basically, this is what Parokshavad means. It's a style of speaking where I can say one set of words, but different people can get meanings in such a way that the same set of words will be true generically for everybody, at the same time specifically for each person. How specifically? Like say, for example, my nature is more Brahminical nature. I'm more intellectual speaker, you know, like that, putting words together, things like that. It's something that comes naturally to me. You know, it's not something I was trained in, but just comes naturally to me. Yes, I did get some training up in some lives I'm still getting training in different ways. But the point is, this comes naturally to me that, I'm more Brahminical in nature. So when I listen to the Bhagavad Gita, I see the Brahminical aspects of the Bhagavad Gita more clearly. You see what I'm saying? How it applies in my life so that I can be a good Brahmin. And then that way, I can serve society as a good Brahmin. Somebody may be a good Kshatriya and serve society as a good Kshatriya. Another person as a business person or a farmer, trade another person as a worker, a person who uses hands and feet like that. And then the different ashramas, so Varnashrama system. And then there are more levels of depths in this, the different consciousness, the 11 different levels of consciousness. In each of these 16 Varna ashramas, the four ashramas, if you put them together, they become 16 mutations like that, and 16 permutations. And so then these 16 permutations, if you take them and look at the 11 levels of consciousness, so 16 multiply that by 11, and then come the 3 modes, and then you multiply that by 3. So that, like you can see, it just gets more and more and more and more variegated. In fact, it's so variegated, it is said that no 2 blades of grass are exactly the same on this planet. What to speak of 2 human beings? There are no human beings exactly the same. So how do you understand something that will be for yourself in a way that will work not just for you, but also for other people? There will be no conflict in this. Amazingly, everybody can understand something different, but it will not be in conflict with one another. So unlike, in this world, when we speak, we create conflict. That's not Krishna. Krishna is a very capable person. He can speak in such a way that he can bring everybody together. And in this conflict, ultimately everybody came together in the end. You will see that everybody came together except for those who were not ready to listen. And even they moved on to a life that was an amazing life, because they died on the battlefield in the presence of Krishna. And in fact, I'll tell you the story later how Sudarshan Chakra actually was the one that was the cause of every one of their deaths. So they all actually became liberated. This is our Krishna's way of doing things. He's always trying to benefit people. They're all his children. So he wants to make sure his children are always very happy and successful.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Please turn on all your videos if you are able to do it, so we can take your darshan.
Yes.
And you can ask more questions for sure.
How many people now on the group?
44 right now. There were 50 plus today, 55 plus.
Nice. Very good.
Preeti Mataji, thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can you see everybody?
I can't see everybody. A lot of people don't have their videos on. And
they're turning on. Tribhanga Prabhu is there. A lot of devotees are there. Sudhir Prabhu, Siddheshwari Mataji,
nice.
Devpan Prabhuji.
Very nice.
Madhav Vajnath Prabhuji is there.
Nice.
Ritika Mataji is outdoor and still she is on call. Thank you so much.
Yeah, technology is so great.
Yeah.
Better to go out in these times, They say that you don't hang around inside the house. Move out a little bit, but in the open air, like that, it's always good to be.
Jayanti Mataji, Jayant Prabhu.
Nice, nice.
Hari Prabhu.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so very much for being nice devotees and allowing me to have your association.
So we are missing Sunday feast, so we can get see each other on Zoom live.
Yeah. Very good.
Any other questions before we end this call today? We have some time. If anybody wants to ask some more questions, you can ask. You can ask any other question relating to current situation also, if Nityananda Prabhu is okay with that.
Yes, I'm okay with that. Also, I wanted to say that, as we hear, sometimes the questions come up later. Just write your questions down, and in the next videos as we do, then you can talk about those questions as well. So you don't have to ask a question all today, but if you can think of something between now and tomorrow, then, or whenever in the future, then just ask about those questions based on about the current.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. All praise to Srila Prabhupada. You can hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, very clearly.
Yes. Prabhu, wonderful class, and it's the need of this hour for sure. So Prabhu, if we look at this all scenario which is happening around right now, And how about in the Bhagavad Gita also, how Arjuna is bewildered at this time and how things are going with him. It's the same thing which is going on in the society, right?
That's
And there are some families where the main person is being tested positive. Like yesterday, there was a case where in the family, the father had been moving around from Costco to all places in another place, I guess, and the grandfather has passed away. The husband and the wife, they are all positive. The kids have been tested positive. So in such cases, now there is a fear in the society, and there is fear of life everywhere. So in such uncertainties, like, though we try to be so much as possible to stay cool and calm, and basically it is our kids who are looking at what we are doing right now and how we are handling the situation. So can you please guide on that front, Prabhu, like how we can do the best of our, with the help of bhakti, and also give a best role model for our kids?
very nice. Very good.
Can you please announce your name?
This is Sita Priti Devidasi from Plano.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you, Maraji. So this is an amazing question. There's a Hindi statement, nice statement in Hindi, Antarnishtha Bahir Lok Vyahar. So basically what it says is that internally, we should be completely fixed in our Krishna consciousness. Externally, we must deal with the world as the world deals with the situation. So yes, there will be fear, there will be concern, there'll be doubts, there'll be frustration, there'll be anger. All of these things are natural. A devotee is not devoid of these things. A devotee will feel these things because that is the way the world is. If you're in the world, you're going to have to be off the world as well. But internally, we are fixed that Krishna is in control. He never loses control. Like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, as we'll see later, everything is happening under the minute control. Every minute thing that's happening is under the control of Krishna. Not a blade of grass outside the house moves or anywhere moves without the will of Krishna. So Krishna must have a will. He must have a plan here. We don't understand the plan, maybe, and maybe some of us do understand the plan. But the point is that whatever it is, we have that faith, complete faith. Krishna is in control, and I must continue doing those things that will lead me to a much better lifestyle and to lead me ultimately to Krishna himself. So for that purpose, whatever we do in our spiritual lives or spiritual practices must be continued and increased nicely, especially reaching out to others in these times, because a lot of people need guidance in this time or support or whatever. Externally, now that we are in this situation, like Prabhupada describes, knowing that this is a bad situation, that coronavirus is a bad situation, do those things that keep yourself a little safe and your children a little safe from, not little, but safe from this thing. Idea is that, you wash your hands and do the other things that you advise. It's not like these materialists are bad people. They're not. It's just that it's just like somebody's, again, I'm going to go back to playing Monopoly, right? If somebody's playing Monopoly, does that mean they're a bad person? No. If they play Monopoly all day, they're foolish. But they're not bad people. Nobody's a bad person like that. You can't just wholesale, judge somebody like that. The point is they're not being very smart by playing Monopoly all day. So similarly, these materialists are like monopolists, play Monopoly all day, but whatever they're playing in the Monopoly is happening in the board, right? So it's happening in the world. So these people are smart. They figure out ways of how to tackle situation. Yes, there is some fake news that goes out there, and this is the difficulty with WhatsApp and Facebook and a lot of fake news going around, that if you do a headstand, then you will not get coronavirus, this, that, and the other. Things like that. They'll tell you why you will not get it, but you will get it anyway. If you're supposed to get it, you're going to get it, no matter how good you are. You can see the best people in the world are getting it, the worst people in the world are getting it. No matter how you want to judge this, everybody's getting it. You see what I'm saying? Devotees are getting it. Others who are not interested in being devotees are getting it. There are people who are very pious who are getting it. There are people who are very sinful who are getting it. There is no, Krishna's laws of nature apply to everybody. They don't just apply to some people. So basically, it's a little like, when you're in the ocean, you have to learn how to swim. You have to learn how to stay afloat until some boat comes and picks you up and takes you out of the ocean back onto land again, right? So that boat is called the spiritual master. That's called the gurus. And there are many types of gurus, and I'll explain that later, but in the future classes. But the point is that until that happens, you've got to stay afloat. You have to learn how to swim. So basically what we teach our children is that there will be difficulties in this world, and we must learn how to deal with the difficulties. For the coronavirus, this is how we do things. We wash our hands, and we don't mix too much with people right now until it comes under control, until we found the way to actually treat a person so they don't have to die when they get the coronavirus. Just like many times a lot of us become sick, right? We get the flu, but we don't die from the flu. Now, some people do die from the flu. So point is this, but at least there is some certainty that I can survive the flu. In this one, there's no certainty because we don't know the exact medications that we can take, etc. So point is, how do you take your precautions? And if you do catch it, how do you deal with the situation? That's already been laid out as much as we know. And so we follow those things, right? At the same time, these are the challenges. So these challenges have some opportunities in them. What is the opportunity in them? The opportunity in them is to do a little reflection, right? To think about our spiritual life. What is the purpose of life? Why does all this thing happen? Why do we have to face these problems? Why can't we just have a just nice life with none of these problems? The answers are given in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Many devotees have these answers. They've read these books. They've met devotees. They've met spiritual masters. They have a spiritual master. They've understood these things. Speak to them. They will explain, and then you will understand. So then you'll become confident, and you won't feel like, wow, this world is so bad, and I'm so depressed, and I'm always anxious. No, there's no anxiety. We know that whatever's supposed to happen will happen. But the point is, I have to keep doing the right thing. And if I do the right thing, then things will work out in my life. As we were just speaking when Sarvajaya Madhaprabhu reminded me, the soul cannot be killed, right? The soul is who you really are. You cannot be killed. You cannot be made sick. The soul cannot fall sick. Did you know that? The soul cannot fall sick. Nothing can happen to the soul. The soul always remains pristine, pure. But the mind can fall sick. The intelligence can fall sick. The body, the false ego is always sick. So these are the guys who are having the problems. You see what I'm saying? So if we know the separation between me and these things, just like I may be driving a nice car and the car has an accident. I was safe, but the car got totaled. So, I should not move around thinking I got totaled. Now I also should go to the car yard and go in that machine that will crush the car, into a small, nice piece of metal. I should also go and get crushed so I can become a small piece of nice metal there. No, I'm fine. The car was okay. I'm going to get another car. I have insurance. I'll buy another car. So what is the insurance in life? The insurance is the chanting of the holy names of God. That's why we all chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's the best insurance. Have a nice insurance policy. So it'll take care of everything. By the way, again, I'll tell you the story, how it is the holy name that controls everything in this world. Everything, including the movement of the blade of grass. So point is that once we know these things, then we know what to do, and then we know we can get another car, maybe even a better car, right? Like that, and so be happy people like that. People don't die just because they lost their car, because the car is not them. They are more valuable than the car. A car can be bought for maximum, say, $5-10 million. You know what I mean? But you cannot buy a human for hundreds of billions of dollars. You cannot make a human being. So the human being is worth far more than the car. So similarly, our soul is the eternal part. It's worth far more than everything else in our life, like our body, our mind, our intelligence, our ego, false ego. These things cannot compare to the soul. So like that. So these explanations can be given to our children, trained up nicely, so these children become confident. By the way, the children are simple-hearted. So when they hear the truth, they are, because Krishna is speaking also from inside, they will hear very nicely. They become very confident. In fact, I see children becoming more confident than the parents become. Of course, you might say the parents have more responsibility, so it's harder to be more confident. That is also true. But at the same time, it's because as parents, we're not very clear about how things are really happening, why things are happening, and why nothing can stop us. This was the first instruction Prabhupada got from his spiritual master. Nothing can stop ultimate reality, Krishna consciousness. Nothing. So not even death. So, so this is things that if we understand this, then we'll walk through this. By the way, it is said, if you're feeling fine, you're happy, things like that, there's less chance that coronavirus will attack you. But if you're really depressed and you're weak and your immunity system goes down, now the thing can attack you even more. If you have a strong immunity system, it says a lot of these strong immunity systems can fight the coronavirus and kill it. This is why now one of the ways they're treating coronavirus is those people who overcome the coronavirus, they take their blood and they put it in the people who caught the coronavirus, and it kills the coronavirus. Why? Because they developed that type of immunity to it. Why? That immunity came from a high immunity system. So again, stay happy, not happy in a silly way, happy in this sense, knowing that the soul is, and Krishna loves me. Let me just do all the things I need to do to take the precaution and move on with my life, whatever I can do in the circumstances. For example, right now you can't go outside, you have to stay inside the house. Okay, from inside the house you can do nothing. We're doing this thing from inside the house. Now some of the best businesses will start from inside the houses. And the world is going to change. I was just listening to one speaker, and he is one of the world's leading experts on business and economy and things like that. And he is saying that the world is going to shift forever into a situation that's going to be far better than what it is now. So please make the shift. Be part of that shift. Don't get caught up in the past and stay in the past like that. So, thank you very much for that wonderful question. I can say more, but hopefully what I've said is enough.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful perspective of looking up the intelligence does not die, the soul does not die. That really helps a lot. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or comments? Some devotees are thanking you, Prabhuji, for your time, valuable time. Hari Prabhu was texting you. Thank you, Nityananda Prabhu, for your valuable time and association.
Well, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Actually, let me just say that I should be the one thanking you all, because I'm preaching to myself. I can tell you this: when I'm talking, I'm always telling myself these things. I'm not really telling you. I'm telling myself these things, because the best person who can convince me is me. All of us are the best to convince each other. That's why we should speak, because when you speak, you're really talking to yourself 20 times more than you're speaking to somebody else. Prabhupada uses the time 20 times. And so, so the thing is this, that you gave me the opportunity to speak, and so I'm very indebted to you. I'll always be indebted to you. I'm always praying for you and doing many things for all of your benefits as well. And I hope also to leave soon from this world, go back home with Krishna. And when I meet Krishna, the first thing I'd like to tell him is, all those people I met in my life in the material world, they're all such nice people, Krishna. Please bring them all back quickly so that we can all have a nice party in the spiritual world. We'll party there 24/7, have a real great party. Nice party. Here we can also party, but some problems come in the middle, you know what I mean?
Yep. Jain Prabhu, you have any comment?
I think you are muted, Jain Prabhu.
He's unmuting himself.
Oh, he's unmuted.
You are unmute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavats Pranam.
That's good.
Prabhuji, you mentioned one thing related that how to make our material life also comfortable, right? You said when we perform our devotional service, our material life will also be taken care and it will be comfortable. Can you explain a little on that, Prabhuji?
Yes, thank you very much. Basically, the idea is we do not use spiritual life to take care of our material life. Just like, say, for example, you don't live your life so that you can play the game of Monopoly all day, right? You take care of your life so that you can take care of everything. Playing Monopoly is one thing, but also eating, having a nice family, nice society. So you use your life for many things like that. You see what I'm saying? But in all those many things that will happen, automatically your Monopoly game will be taken care of nicely, right? Because if you have nice relationships with people, and you have nice food, and everything's working well in your life, then obviously the game of Monopoly also happen better instead of less better. Because if you are not doing things well in your life and you are like say a homeless person, we call them hobos, right? If you're a homeless person, what Monopoly game are you going to play? You know what I mean? How are you going to enjoy Monopoly being a homeless person? So the idea is that what spiritual life does, in practice of spiritual life, we become closer to Krishna. And Krishna can do for us more than we can do ourselves, right? So as we come closer to Krishna, Krishna gives us guidance, intelligence. Okay, don't worry about it at the right time. Just like, say, for example, we have children. Okay, the children want to play a game, but we think, no, this time is better to eat, right? So we tell the children, okay, first you eat, then we can play the game. You see what I'm saying? Now, children will not be very happy. Now, I want to play the game, I don't want to eat. But the parents says, no, first you eat, then you play the game. Now you'll be happier in the game, everything will work out better, right? And so Krishna does that in our lives. He maneuvers our lives in such a way that we will become ultimately much better off than what our mind is telling us, our intelligence is telling us. And our mind and intelligence is very insignificant. It knows very little compared to what Krishna knows. It's like all our minds put together knows as much as a drop from the ocean of what Krishna knows. You see what I'm saying? So these spiritual practices bring us closer to Krishna and closer to those who are associated closer to Krishna. And then what happens is our lives become much more meaningful, they become sweeter, they become happier. And this chasing money, why do we chase money? We chase money so that we can be happy, right? So if you got the happiness, do you need the money now? Like, say, for example, imagine the purpose of life was to get a Mercedes-Benz. So if you got your Mercedes-Benz, you don't need to go and get more Mercedes-Benzes, right, for yourself. You got your Mercedes-Benz. Use it. So in that same way, in Krishna consciousness, by practicing Krishna consciousness, our lives become truly practical. Truly practical. And by the way, we meet some really brilliant people. Ask yourself this question. Before you were in Krishna consciousness, did you meet as brilliant people as you have met after you joined Krishna consciousness or before? Which one was it? You see?
After.
Yeah, it's hands down after. All of us met some really nice people after we came to Krishna consciousness. Why? Because these people are getting closer to Krishna. Every last person who comes to Krishna consciousness, you should know, must be a truly brilliant person, because otherwise they won't come to Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the highest state of consciousness. I'm talking about the 11 states of consciousness. The highest is called the Supreme Absolute Truth. And Krishna consciousness deals only with the Supreme Absolute Truth. Of course, in the Supreme Absolute Truth, all the other things are automatically there. Just like in $1 trillion, $1 billion there, $1 million there, $1,000 there, everything is there in the trillion. So in the same way, when you come to the highest level of consciousness, Krishna consciousness, all the other consciousness are automatically in there. We don't ignore them, we work with them nicely, but we all do it for one purpose, and that is so that we can achieve the highest goal of life. So in that sense, the idea is that we should practice our spiritual lives nicely, and that will allow us to become a little smarter how to deal with material life, how to meet people, the right people, be taken care of nicely, and we take care of people nicely. And better than taking welfare from somebody is to give welfare. But before you give welfare, we have to become strong. And Krishna consciousness helps us become really strong, no matter how bad it becomes. Krishna's devotees cannot be stopped by anything. You've seen in ISKCON how some devotees were also killed by the government, like in Russia. They were being killed because they were practicing Krishna. Their babies were being killed in front of them. They didn't give up. Today, Russia has so many nice devotees. And now Russian devotees are making devotees other places in the world. Same thing in China. We can see the Chinese devotees struggle so much. In China, at one time it was said, if you become a devotee, you might disappear. Meaning just disappear. The government would do whatever they do, harvest your organs or whatever. But the devotees did not stop. The Chinese devotees did not stop. They practiced their Krishna consciousness. Today, Chinese devotees are going all over the world and encouraging others to become Krishna conscious. Right? Same thing with the Indians, same thing with the Americans, same thing with the Canadians, all people like that. So we can see the real strength comes from becoming a devotee. No matter what culture we come from, we can become perfected in our lives like this.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wonderful question.
A lot of devotees are thanking you on the WhatsApp, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for taking time to give us a wonderful class. And we're almost on time today.
Yeah.
We have 2 more minutes.
Very good.
So if you like, maybe from next time we can end with some kirtan also.
Yes, that's a good idea. In the future, we'll do that also. Yeah. We'll do 5 minutes of kirtan, something like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Panchakalpa, Tribhascha, Kripasindhubhya, Evita, Itanam, Pavane,
Bye.
Vaishnavabhya Namo Nama. Anant Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai.
Thank you so much. See you all tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You are most welcome to invite your friends, neighbors. If you have neighborhood groups, you can post this message in your neighborhood groups also. Thank you so much, Achudanand Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Dandavat Pranam. All goes to Guru and Guru, all goes to Bhagavad.
Jai.
Kalachandji ki jai.
Jai.
Good Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Your voice was very clear today, Prabhu.